Well, here we go. This is Slade Priest, your host, the Hunting Land Man. We're on episode 35 of the Hunting Land Man podcast. Kind of something a little bit different today, a little less real estate. We're going to talk about the area. And before we get too far, as always, the Hunting Land Man podcast brought to you by Southern Ag Credit. Literally, just like every other week, we're working with Southern Ag this week to get some of our own stuff closed and get some of our client stuff closed. So, great company to work with. Well, pretty cool story today. We're going to do a story on this buck. I guess I'm going to label, if it hasn't been labeled yet, as the Price buck. We've got Matt Price here. Matt, where you live?
In Ruth, Mississippi.
And Ruth, if you don't know, my office is right here in Macomb on 55. Ruth is, 15, 20 minutes right up the road, just north of Summit. So the reason we're sitting here is that if you're watching this, you can see, but if you're listening, you'll have to imagine there is we hadn't got him official scored yet, but a 185-inch typical 12 with several kickers coming off his G2 and one small one off his G3 right here beside me. And this buck was killed in Lawrence County. Lawrence County is east of 55. That is north of Pike County. I guess Lawrence County is just south of Lincoln Copiah. But anyway, typically Lawrence County is not known for, Mississippi in general is not known for 185-inch deer. So I wanted to ask Matt all about this and just talk a little bit more about this. But well, Matt, are you pumped up? Has the new wore off this thing yet?
No, I don't. I don't know if I'll ever get tired of looking at it.
Well, Matt, if you will pull that mic a little bit closer to you. Well, tell me this. I know we've asked a little bit of this since you when he walked in here with this rack, everybody in the office just wanted to feel and touch it. It's like, it's just, it's like a shiny new toy. Matt, tell me this. How long did you know about this deer?
4 years I've been having pictures of him.
4 years. So this is we'll call it 2022. So you had pictures of them, 2018, 2019, 2020. I guess 2019 was the first year. 2019 was the first year. And you feel like the deer's six years oldish now?
Somewhere around 6.
Okay. Now tell me this. You're on a hunting club out here, private land.
It's a hunting club. It's Weyerhaeuser land.
How many acres is y'all's hunting club?
Somewhere around 4,500.
Wow, big club. And how many members?
42.
Okay, so member for every 100 acres or so, pretty common with hunting clubs. Would you say y'all's club gets a lot of pressure?
Certain times of the year it does. Thanksgiving, Christmas, through there.
Well, how many people of the 40 members or so knew about this buck?
Not too many, not that I know of.
Okay.
A few people knew about him. That was about it.
Well, all right, so you've had pictures of him now, you said, for 4 years. Was other members actively hunting this deer?
No.
Okay, so nobody was like this, nobody in September was thinking about this deer, and I'm guessing you were?
Yeah, I was.
Okay, and I saw where you had pictures of him post-season, so you were making sure he made it after the season. Okay. So and I'm just asking because I'm so curious about this. Were you obsessed with this deer? Was this like...
Yeah, I was. Before the season started, I actually had said, I don't care who kills him, I just want to touch him. Yeah. Make sure he's real.
That's right. He's almost like Santa Claus. It's, y'all just can't imagine. And people that listen from around the country, look, those type of deer like that, even in where we hunt Missouri, Kansas, and Iowa, are super rare. And to kill it in Lawrence County, if I had to compare, I'm going to say that's like a 240 in Iowa. If we compared, because it's going to be in the top of the record books in Lawrence County, or very close to the top of the record books. Take me back. Okay. And so if you're out there listening, you can take this deer and what Matt's about to tell us, and we can apply this to how we can kill big deer, how we can manage deer better, and how we can just be entertained. All right, 4 years ago, would you get pictures of him early season? What was your...
No, it was January. He showed up every year about January.
Okay, so you didn't even know where he lived.
No, I figured he was close somewhere, but he traveled a lot.
Once you killed him, did anybody else come out and say, hey, I've got pictures of this deer?
Yeah, a lot of folks south of me there from south of our lease, they a lot of people reached out about it.
Private or public land?
Private land.
I mean, private.
Yeah.
Did how far? Did you ever measure it? How far he was traveling?
There was, I guess, right at the start of January, somebody had sent me a picture 6 or 7 miles from where I was getting pictures of him.
Wow, 6 or 7 miles. That's far. You know, I'm not going to, I think the one time I've heard 8 miles, and then have you seen some of those studies on Facebook and stuff? You know, it's crazy distances. Mississippi State has put some stuff out and other companies. 6 or 7 miles. I mean, I looked at the map. He showed me where he killed him, and I'm not going to give away all his secrets, but I mean, you're talking about 30, 40 landowners he could have walked past. And then, like you said, when it gets busy during December and January, people are hunting. The chances, I mean, you should have bought a lottery ticket that day. I mean, good Lord.
Yeah, I've had 2 people said they've shot at him about 2 weeks before I killed him.
What was the story there? They just couldn't get a good shot? Or?
Couldn't get he was chasing does and wide open.
All right. So you were getting pictures of him in January, and pretty much every January you were getting pictures of him?
Yeah.
Typically over feed, acorns, food plot, trail?
Feed, normally. He would just kind of pass through and eat a little bit and keep going.
Okay. As a lot of big deer doing what they're doing right now. They're just 1 or 2 pictures and that's crazy. Did you know of anybody that was maybe feeding him during the summer or any crops he was eating on to make him this big?
I don't know of anybody feeding him. There's no crops anywhere around there. So.
Oh, no, if I'm correct, SMZ hardwood bottoms and pine timber. This is not your places that you see a lot of people hunt up and down the Delta. If you're listening, you don't know where Lawrence County is. This is typical General Roland. Correct me if I'm wrong here. General Roland, hardwood creek bottoms that are pretty. Everything else is a pine tree that's either 25 years old or 0 years old, depending on when the timber company got to it or the landowner got to it. Did your history over the 3 years, were you able to kind of see a pattern, or okay, I know he should be in the area, or I know this is what I think he's doing, or?
No, he'd show up for 1 or 2 nights, and then he'd be gone for 4 or 5 days, and then come back for 1 or 2 more. And
that gives us a chance for this afternoon, Caleb. We're hunting a deer that does the exact same thing. How many stands did you have dedicated to this deer that you said, okay, I could probably kill him out of one of these stands?
Just that one, really. That's the only place. I run cameras kind of all over that area, and that's the only camera I ever had pictures of him at.
So never another camera? Wow. See, that's interesting. As I was doing the same thing with a deer I was obsessed about this year. He was, 40 inches smaller than this, maybe 50. But I was obsessed like that, and I was getting pictures of him at a lot of different spots. So it's cool how every one of them is different. All right, I got some stuff written down here. Okay. Now, I heard you telling this to Scott earlier. You'd never seen him in person before.
No.
Did you ever hunt and maybe he showed up that night, or you didn't go one day and he showed up on camera in daylight or anything?
No, he would show up maybe after I'd leave or something at night, but that was about it.
Any daylight pictures over the past 3 years?
February the 1st last year.
Postseason don't even count. Wow. So I bet that was a sigh of relief on February 1st when you got a picture of him because you knew he was alive.
Yeah.
Okay, so you may have already answered this. So did you know he was alive before he showed up in January this year? Like, did you know, okay, he made it through the summer?
Yeah, actually, this is the earliest I ever had pictures of him. I had 2 pictures on October 20th, and then he disappeared for a month or more.
You say that. I heard a guy from the Midwest talking about that. He runs a big outfitting operation, and I forget the exact dates. And, of course, our dates would be different with our rut. But he said there's a week in, right after they shed their velvet where they go on a walkabout and they do the rut walk. And this is just a theory, and the first time I ever heard it, and then they don't ever do it again, and then they show back up at those cameras. And this dude runs 200 cameras, so that may go along with that. When, for your club, you've been hunting, how many years you've been hunting in this club?
8, I think this made year.
If you had to say, look, when the bucks are breeding the does, when would you pick where you were hunting?
First week of January.
Okay, same as everywhere else, Southwest Mississippi. Okay. And what was the date you killed him on?
On the 8th.
Okay, January the 8th. Okay, if I remember right, we'd go. It was a little bit warmer then, wasn't it?
About
Yeah.
60 degrees.
Yeah, about like today. So we'd gone in history, if y'all don't remember, late December, right after Christmas. I killed my deer on 12/26, first south wind, which was the warm front moving in. So we had cold right around Christmas and all that, and cameras going off like crazy. Still had acorns like crazy, and then it got warm again. And like you said, he killed this deer on 60. One thing about the rut, I always practice hunt smart, but during the rut, you just got to be in the seat.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, take me to the day of the hunt. Tell me, okay, you killed in the morning or afternoon?
In the evening.
Okay, did you hunt that morning?
I did. Well, I got in the stand about 10 o'clock because a big storm came through that morning. Early.
Big rain front?
Yeah, I mean, thunder, lightning, and everything else. And I got in the stand about 10, and I was actually going to move locations at like 3:30 because the wind was shifting out of my favor, and another storm was coming in. And I couldn't move stands because nobody was at the club to move my tag for me or anything, so I just sat there and got wet, and he showed up about 20 minutes after the rain stopped.
And what time was that?
5:30ish.
Okay, so last shooting light. Mm-hmm. Okay, and he, what was it? Tell me, did you see any other deer that day, or?
Yeah, I'd seen about a 12-inch 8-pointer 2-year-old deer that I'd seen 100 times this year. He worked a scrape line for 20 minutes about lunchtime, and then about 10 minutes before I saw him, a doe had come up from north of me, and he was about 5 minutes behind that doe. And
this buck was?
No, that little 8
one. Okay.
And then this deer came in from the other direction.
Okay, you said about your club, nobody moving the tags. What is the rules at your club as far as what do y'all shoot? Is it state legal? Is it 8-pointer better? 4-year-old? What's the deal?
The kids and wives shoot state law, and
okay.
Everybody else has got to be 14 inches inside, or an 18-inch main beam, or an 8-inch tine.
With those rules in your area, do you think that's a lot of 3-year-olds getting shot, or a lot of deer getting a 4? Because that's right on that kind of.
It's a lot of 3-year-olds. Okay. It's most of the ones that actually pass are 3 years old, and all of our 2-year-olds are real close to being there, so they always get killed.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's kind of one of them deals like if somebody barely misses, they end up killing a 2-year-old. Mm-hmm. So it's not terrible rules, but not what you'd call super trophy management.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Well, when you killed this deer, I know how this usually happens, and how many people say, "Oh, you shot him at night. Oh, he come out of a high fence." Or, I mean, have you got any of that?
Not too much. I mean, I've had a lot of people say it wasn't killed in Lawrence County.
Yeah, of course.
They just claim that, but that was about it.
What? All right. So getting back to the day of the hunt, I got above myself here. So deer comes in behind a couple minutes behind the doe from the other direction. How long did you tell me? Bring me. All right. You see him. Do you immediately know who it is?
Well, whenever I saw the two come up from north of me, and I was trying to find them, they went in this big draw, and I was trying to find them with my binoculars, and I kind of panned up toward the top of the ridge, and then I saw a deer standing there, and all the weeds are 6 or 7 feet tall, so I couldn't really see. I could see horns, but that was about all I could see.
And then you said this was cut over.
Yeah, it's cut
ladder, over. Climber.
I was in a tripod.
Okay.
I could see horns. I could tell it was a good deer, but I wasn't positive it was him, and I looked at him for 3 or 4 minutes through the binoculars probably, and he was trying to figure out what I was. He could see me, and his head was going up and down. And I told myself before the year started I wasn't shooting anything in there but him, and I actually just took a chance. I mean, I was about positive it was him, but I wasn't 100% sure.
And just you said you told me earlier you said the wind was trying to blow into him.
Yeah, whenever that front came in, the wind shifted. It was coming out of the south, and as soon as that rain came through, it went straight out of the north.
Well, something that I mentioned when you said that, and I'll tell our listeners this, something that I've noticed, and I've heard other people talk about it, so I'm not claiming that I came up with this, but it seems like a lot of times, like if you can take care of your scent and things, the bucks know when the wind's in their favor too. So they're working the wind for does and looking for predators, humans, all that sort of thing. So just like with this deer, maybe that wind and that swirling in that front, it pushed it maybe instead of being straight north, maybe it was northwest or something like, so he didn't have 100% the advantage, but he thought he did. And he came in. I mean, we're all just thinking here, but that very well could have been it. So you beat it down on him and squeezed the trigger. Think you made a good shot, or?
Yeah, well, he was facing right at me. It was the only shot he would give me, and then as he was turning to leave is when I shot. And it hit right behind the shoulder, and it just went straight through him all the way and stuck into his hind quarter.
Did you go immediately after him or go get dog? Or
Well, when I shot, I thought I saw him buckle, so I just got down and went over there, and I saw a lot of hair and about 3 ounces of blood maybe, and that was it. So I went out and called the guy with the dogs.
were you pumped up?
Yeah, I was. I wouldn't let myself believe it was him, until I walked up on him. I was playing it off, saying I probably shot that 12-inch 8-point. I wouldn't let myself believe that it actually was him.
That's what's so cool about deer hunting, the emotions that you go through, like especially when you get, a deer of this caliber, of course, but any deer that you're after like that. I mean, if this had been a 140-inch deer you'd be after, you probably would have had the same emotions. And so it's so cool that deer, people that don't hunt, they don't get it.
Yeah.
I mean, what it does, like your brain sitting there saying, you said, well, I'm pretty sure it was him. Nah, ain't no way it was him, because it's just the emotions and what it goes through. Well, so found him pretty quick with the dog?
Yeah, he ran about 150 yards with the dogs. As soon as they got there, they went straight to him, and he'd have been dead. I mean, he was dead when I shot. I don't know how he ran as far as he did.
A big old tough sucker. And you said he weighed in the 190s?
Yeah, 193, I think.
Okay, and being the second week of January, deer's probably a good bit over 200 early season.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, there's been several I've seen on social media and stuff, 200, 180s, and I me and you know where the 200 came from, and we're pretty sure that number's up, but we think he's going. And if you're not watching here, if you are watching, I'll show him to you a little bit. The deer's a typical 12. He's going to have, let me see his 12. He's going to have 15, probably 15 scoreable. And, as a typical 12, he's going to be low to mid 70s, which is going to probably net him in the mid 60s. I mean, I don't care where you go in the country. You shoot that one first day. I mean, you can be on Lee Lakowski's place in Iowa, and you shooting him that one the first day. But, man, what a deer and what a story. I guess have you had any magazine? Have you had anybody contact you that, besides us, of course, that normally wouldn't contact you to find the story out?
Just a couple newspapers. That was about it. And the Enterprise Journal, Clarion Ledger. That was about it.
Do you plan on bringing him and doing any big buck contests or anything?
Yeah, I took him to 4 or 5. About all of them I could drive to, pretty close. And I took him to Simmons in Bastrop just to.
What'd they score him at Simmons?
177.
Okay. They usually do a pretty good job. How'd you do in the contest?
I'm in 5th right now. I guess season ends tomorrow, and they'll close at the end.
Well, heck of a buck for sure, man, and congratulations. And just goes to show you, just because you're in a club, and I actually scored one club about the same rules, but this was in Wilson County. Club, Weyerhaeuser, basically the same story. And the guy went out, he didn't have any history with it. He went out one afternoon and killed him. He was 181. I scored the deer for the guy, and I had this same conversation with him. And it's one of them deals. It's like, just because you're not somewhere where there's a bunch of big giants around don't mean this can happen. And that's what's so cool about deer. And Caleb this year, cameraman Caleb's sitting right here. He killed that big deer this year. No pictures. Hunting the same area this morning when he went hunting. But what a deer. Well, do you have one you have your eyes on for next year?
I've got a couple that I'm pretty sure is his offspring, but I don't know if next year they'll be ready or, I don't know. Depends on how I feel.
It's hard to top this one, though.
Oh, yeah, I won't ever. Not here anyway.
Right. You go many a day to top that one. Heck, I've been going many a day and killed a couple hundred and never topped that one, man. But congratulations. We're going to jump off of here, get back to work. But, having a deer this caliber killed right here in our back door, we want to hear the story about it. A lot that can be learned from persistence, being after him. Never saw this deer in daylight. And sometimes, like we always say, during late December and January, it's all about butt time. Really, from Christmas on, it's all about butt time. Because right now, if you're watching cameras like I am, they're so unpredictable. I got a logging crew moved into one of my spots, and a big shooter that we're going to hopefully, let go till next year. He's a big shooter this year, though. The logging crew moved in one day. I'm like, he won't be back till the nighttime. The next morning, he was standing there in daylight. It's just, they so weird.
Well, they planted trees the Monday before I killed him. Came through with big equipment and planted pine trees.
Planted they planted it with the dozer.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's something to be learned. Everybody, they cutting timber on my place. There ain't no deer. They planting pine trees going all through his bedding area. Well, I'm looking at a 180. right here that didn't get bothered. You know, the deer are just like the Midwest. They get used to the combines and the crops and stuff. Look, timber's part of our industry. They know what that stuff is. Now, do you get discouraged when that happen? But I'll tell you a story. I was hunting in it's right on the Wilson County, Amite County line, and I was hunting me and a buddy, and they had a logging crew. I could see the guy smoking a Swisher Sweet on the loader that morning. Whenever I could see the cherry of it when he lit up that morning, we were in the stand. I was 400 yards from the loader. Man, them bucks was in there cruising like crazy. I had one of the best rut hunts I've ever had, and almost killed. Just never could get them to stop chasing does. One of the best rut hunts I ever had with my bow in Southwest Mississippi. And the only reason we got down, we were on the other side of the creek from where they were cutting. We cut a tree, and the top of the pine tree touched my ladder. Just I said, all right, time to get down. But it just goes to show you, man, when they're rutting, you just got to be there. All right, well, I appreciate you being on here, Matt. Congratulations on the deer, the price buck, mid-180s, 15-point, killed in Lawrence County. Hey, we sell property all over Southwest Mississippi. Something to be learned here. Now, Lawrence County doesn't have quite as high prices as like Amite Wilson. So if you want to save a little money, proof's in the pudding right here. You can kill a big one anywhere. Let's go to Lawrence County and look at some land. Caleb, let's jump off here and get to selling some land.